This week on True Crime Travelers. I'd kill for my best friend. Wouldn't you? I mean, I don't actually want to murder someone. At the very least, I would put myself in harm's way to protect my best friend if she was ever in danger. Like, mess with me, fine. I can ignore you and go about my day. Mess with my best friend, and I will destroy you and everything you have ever loved. That's how it works, right? Welcome to True Crime Travelers, where we investigate suspicious murders and disappearances around the world, but from a traveler's perspective. We are Alexa and Emilia, award-winning travel experts and the authors behind the Solo Girls Travel Guide book series. We are obsessed with safety and true crime, but I promise we're not here to scare you. We're here to prepare you.
Emmy, I can't believe we're doing this. So many people have told us we are absolutely crazy to do a podcast about travelers that go missing and die abroad. But for everyone that's listening, hi, True Crime Travelers. Welcome to episode 1. For those of you who don't know us, I'm Alexa from Seattle.
And I'm Emilia from Mexico, but I actually live in Spain. And Lexi and I will literally teach women how to travel the world safely through our award-winning guidebook series called the Solo Girls Travel Guide.
Yeah, so we spend our days showing women that the world isn't as dangerous as you think, yet here we are discussing terrifying stories of travelers, both men and women, who find themselves in nightmare scenarios abroad. So the question we get now is, why the hell are we doing this podcast?
Well, Lexi and I do this already. We travel the world together, eating, drinking, exploring, having fun, but we also keep our eyes and ears open about any creepy true crime murders or stories that have happened in that destination.
Yeah, for a few reasons. One is that we're both fascinated by true crime. And 2 is that I'm afraid of everything. Like when I say I'm afraid of everything, I'm talking mostly about airplanes, boats, cars, transportation in general. I feel like everything is going to kill me. So Emmy still has to hold my hand on plane rides and boat rides. But I push through my fear. I literally do not let my fear stop me from traveling.
Yeah, we don't believe in being fearless. There's no such thing. We do believe in being brave. So over the many years we have been traveling together, we have become experts on the place we travel and the risks to watch out for.
Yep, we've both become fixated on safety, not just for us, but also our readers. Hence the name True Crime Travelers.
That's us.
So yeah, we're crazy for taking the risk of highlighting crimes abroad, but as you'll soon come to learn, listening to this podcast will make you a better, safer, and wiser traveler.
Amen. I'm so ready for this.
Let's do this, Em. Let's get into episode 1 of True Crime Travelers. Okay, today is going to be a little bit bittersweet for the both of us, but especially you, because our first case takes place in your home country of Mexico. And you and I feel very safe when we travel to Mexico, but if you watch like the headlines on the news, you always see American missing in Mexico. And that is because Mexico is the #1 vacation destination for Americans. Therefore, we have more vacationers there. And especially the kind of vacations Americans take to Mexico involves a lot of tequila, typically. So we are going to see more cases there. I wish it wasn't true, but it is. So today, Emmy, I'm sure is going to make you very angry. I think you are going to rage, like pure outrage, when I tell you about Shanquella Robinson and what happened to her in Mexico. This is one of those cases that I know you're going to get furious about because I'm furious about it. Like, I'm actually livid. I had a really hard time researching this case because I'm so angry. But let me take a breath and tell you about the absolutely incredible woman whose case that I think should be a headline all over the news nonstop. Let me tell you about Shanquella. She's our kind of girl, and I'll tell you why. Shanquella Robinson was born on January 9th, 1997, in Charlotte, North Carolina. She's close with her mother, Salamandra, and her father, Bernard. And she has a half-sister named Quilla. And she's close with everyone because she's adorable.
She graduated from Winston-Salem State University, and upon graduation, she hit the ground running. This girl was ambitious, she was creative, she was a goal-getter who opened 2 businesses by the age of 25. First business is called Exquisite Boutique. It's an online clothing brand. Second is Exquisite Babies, where she braided children's hair ages 1 to 12. And do you know how hard it is to get a baby to sit still? So this girl has beauty, brains, and heart, and patience. She's a freaking role model. So at only 25, she had big plans for her business, and her businesses were doing well, so much so that she could afford a tropical vacation to Cabo in Mexico with a group of friends. And not only could she afford it, but she was the cash flow for this vacation. Like, she was the one that put money down to rent this gorgeous villa in Cabo. So what I'm about to tell you is about a group of friends that go to Cabo and it goes wrong. And everyone all over the news is calling this group the Cabo Six. I just looked up the resort that they stayed in, and it's actually not in Cabo. So a lot of people get these two things confused. So it was in Los San Jose. No, Emmy, you're the Mexican. You're a resident Mexican. Tell us the difference between Cabo and San Jose del Cabo.
San Jose del Cabo and Los Cabos are 2 different towns, but because both areas have developed so much, they're connected by a highway that's only 20 minutes apart. So they're basically really close to each other, and people kind of put them in the same box. So you can go and stay at a resort at Los Cabos, but you can then go and have dinner at San Jose. But they're very different. They have very different vibes. San Jose is more like Mexican postcard, like cobblestone streets, flags, like those colorful paper flags everywhere. And Los Cabos is like party zone, like Senor Frogs and drunk Americans everywhere. So they are different.
Yeah. Like, Cabo is full of like American gringos on vacation taking tequila shots. That is where everyone goes to party, is Cabo Cabo. But then there's San Jose del Cabo.
San Jose del
right?
Cabo, yeah.
Where I love it's I was just there, and I went to like little farmers markets, and there's like all these there's like neighborhoods where me and my boyfriend went and like crossed to the other side of the freeway away from the tourist zone, and we did like a DIY like taco tour in like people's little homes. But then there is also the beachfront area, which is where a lot of resorts are in San Jose del Cabo. So, fun fact for our listeners, Emmy and I are working on a Baja Sur travel guidebook. So we're going to put the link of our Baja Sur book down below to basically help you avoid Cabo. Okay, anyways, though, so this is the plan. Back to this. In October 2022, Shanquella and 6 of her friends were ditching the cold of American fall, and they headed to Mexico on a luxury vacation. And Emmy, I'm going to introduce you to the characters on this trip, okay? And I'm actually going to send you a photo that I'm going to put on our website as well. Here, let me grab my phone. It's a group of 7 that went down, and it's Shanquella plus the Cabo Six is what they're calling it. So here are the people she went with. She went with 3 girls, Dejanay Jackson. Dejanay and Shanquella, they went to college together. And I believe that Dejanay introduced Shanquella to the rest of the group. So Dejanay and Shanquella are friends, and Dejanay's like, hey, like, let me introduce you to my friends. And her friends included Winter Donovan and Elise Hyatt. These are 2 girls that we're going to talk about later. So Dejanay, Winter, and Elise. And then there's the 3 guys, Malik Dyer, Nazir Wiggins, and Khalil Cook. Khalil Cook was actually Shanquella's best friend. They've been friends for over 5 years, and Khalil knows Shanquella's family quite well too. So when Shanquella told her mother that she was going on this vacation to Mexico and that Khalil will be going with her, I'm sure that brought her mother peace of mind. Like, okay, like, she's got her friend with her, he's got my baby's back. So to recap, the Cabo Six are the 3 girls, Dejanay, Winter, and Elise, and the 3 guys, Malik, Nazir, and Khalil. If you get confused, you can go see a photo of all of them on our website. And again, this was really Dejanay's group of friends, but they welcomed Shanquella and Khalil into their circle. So the plan was to go to San Jose del Cabo we're just going to call it Cabo, but on October 28th, 2022, and returned back to the States on Halloween, October 31st. So they're just doing like a quick weekend getaway, but enough to blow off some steam, get dressed up, stuff their face with tacos, and they rented the most gorgeous luxury villa, Emmy. It's amazing. And it has a private pool. It has 5 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms. This is like the bucket list kind of spot with a price tag to match. The rooms range from $1,600 a night to $2,500 a night, depending on the season. That's pretty expensive, Em.
Yeah.
So I'm under the impression, from what I've gathered, that Shanquella fronted the bill for it all.
No.
And yeah, and I hope that they were planning to pay her back, but as you will soon find out, that might not have been the case.
Tan, tan, tan.
Fun fact, in Mexico, they say chen, chen, chen. When we say bam, 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 what do we say?
You
Dun,
say
dun,
dun,
dun.
dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
I think in Spain
Chan,
they also
chan,
say it differently, but
chan.
I don't remember.
Please find out, okay?
I'll bring it to you for the next episode. I promise.
Okay, great. Yeah. Can you give us a Chan 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 like every episode? Be like, today's Chan 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 is brought to you by Italy.
The tan, tan, tan of the day today. Today is
Okay, whatever. Okay. On October 28th, Shanquella flew down with the entire group except Nazir. Nazir is just one of Dejanay's friends, and he was set to arrive the next day on October 29th. So the group arrived to the villa, and you know that feeling when the doors open to like a new private pool villa and the sun is sparkling on the water, and you go and explore and you pick out rooms and you just get a rush of adrenaline. It's my favorite thing to, check into a new hotel, especially
I've seen
a private
you.
pool villa.
I've seen you.
Yeah, I love hotels. And then, also when you're coming from North Carolina in October to Mexico, the sun hits you and you're just in the best mood.
Can I say that October is like probably the best month to go to Cabo? The weather is just perfect. You're just kind of like at the ending of hurricane season. The water is super still. The humpback whales are coming back. Whale sharks are everywhere. It's the perfect month for Cabo. So I would imagine like their first impression must have been, wow.
Mm-hmm. So Shanquella was really excited and she calls her mom right away. That's how close they were, to let her know that they arrived safely. And she also tells her Mom, guess what? We are getting a private chef tonight who's coming to the villa to make all of us dinner.
Ooh.
So she's excited. So Shanquella hangs up. And now here is where the sketchy stuff starts happening.
Already,
dude. Night number 1. Shanquella, spoiler alert, would never make it to night number 2. So Shanquella hangs up and she goes and gets all dolled up. She puts on her cute earrings. Her makeup is perfect. And we don't know how dinner went in terms of food, but we do know that the group celebrated. Maybe a little bit too hard. And I guess, hey, that's what you're supposed to do in Cabo, but these people were really throwing back the alcohol. And we know this because there were videos posted to Shanquella's Instagram story. So basically in this case, the videos are the smoking gun for everything. Video number 1 that was posted to Shanquella's Instagram that night. It shows Shanquella passed out in a hammock, not moving. She's dressed beautifully, hair and makeup still perfect. And you're wondering, like, what's going on? Is she okay? And then you hear a voice. It's Khalil, her best friend. And he says, we've got our first dead body.
The idea of traveling solo can be scary. We know. There are so many questions. Is it safe? Am I going to get lonely? Or am I going to be kidnapped, traded for a goat, and end up in the next episode of True Crime Travelers? But wait, before you cancel any plans and discard your dreams, let me introduce you to the Solo Girls Travel Guide, the award-winning and #1 guidebook series for women that has helped thousands of girls travel the world without a boyfriend or a big bank account. We are all about traveling smarter, safer, and sexier. Find the Solo Girls Travel Guide collection on Amazon and start planning that trip you've been dreaming of.
Wait, does this mean that she was dead already?
No, I don't think she was dead, but she was definitely heavily intoxicated. And she's intoxicated and she's passed out. And you would think like your best friend would cover you with a blanket, would get you some water. But instead, he's laughing. And you know what he does? He posts the video of her on her Instagram. Why would he do
That's
that?
not a best friend for sure.
That is not a best friend. Now, there has been like some scrutiny of this entire case. People saying like this is proof that they just admitted that they are planning to like kill people. But in reality, if you're really trying to kill someone, you're not going to be like, "Oh, got a
No.
first dead body," and like post it to the internet. Okay. So that already tells me that Khalil is not the kind of friend that I thought he was. Then another video is posted at 9:54 p.m. and it shows Shanquella upright. She's sitting up. She's at the dinner table with everyone else. And what you hear is someone yell, "Drink!" And everyone around the table is taking shots. Shots, 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 shots. So they are partying hard. These videos will be posted on our website, by the way. I highly recommend watching just to piece it together. Then the next video posted to Shanquella's Instagram is the girls being silly. Winter is trying to do push-ups.
Ugh,
Another girl's
so typical.
I know. I know.
So
I know.
typical.
And another girl is like challenging her. So we've definitely got some competitive energy. So I want to point out something. While we have these videos, we can only speculate the timeline because there are some questions. Were the videos posted in order? And were they posted by Shanquella? Then there is the next video, which I find to be the most eerie. It's the kind of video you can feel, okay? And I think girls will understand this maybe a little bit better than guys will. So the video I believe it's the same night, and I'll tell you why. The video is taken by Shanquella. So she's walking around and you can see like she's going into room and like no one is anywhere. And she yells, "It doesn't take that long to get naked. Where y'all at?" She's in a good mood. She's in Mexico. She's in a good mood. So then the video shows her entering a room where all of the group is gathered. When she walks in the room, the first thing you can see are the three girls, Dejanay, Elise, and Winter, kind of around the bed. And the other boys are in the room too. And when Shanquella walks in, the conversation kind of stops. And they give her the side eye. You know that body language that it's like, yeah, like everyone stopped talking. And they kind of change the conversation to something else. And for me, when you watch this video, Emmy, you can feel it. You can feel it. It's not paranoia. It's not just me. It's everyone. Like anyone who's seen this video was like, what were they talking about? Clearly, they heard Shanquella walking around the villa being like, "Hey, where's everybody at?" They weren't like, "Hey, babe, we're in here. Come on, like, come join us." They stayed quiet. What were they talking about? I want you to watch.
Send me the video through WhatsApp.
You can watch and live react.
Oh, I hate when you can't skip. Thank you, dude. I don't really want to learn how to play the piano right now. Wait, I think you sent me a piano video.
Oh, no. Oh, I sent you the ad?
Yeah, you sent me the ad.
No, I did. Lo siento, mijita. And if you could put the video kind of close to the microphone while you watch it.
It don't take that long to get naked, hoes. Where y'all at? You gonna keep it hot? What?
Did you catch it? Like, did you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think like the faces are a bit blurry, but you can see kind of like the side eye you're mentioning, and how kind of like even the body language is kind of like stiffens up.
The body language
stiffens up.
You're right. They stiffened up like, oh, she's here. And they didn't turn their shoulders to her, which is, when you turn your shoulders to someone, you're like literally inviting them. And when you just turn like your side eye, you're just saying like, what the fuck's she doing here? Now, that's the last that we know about that night, okay? But that video, there was some speculation online. People are saying that video was taken the next day on Saturday. That is not true. It is nighttime. You can see that it's nighttime, and skinny dipping is a nighttime activity. Okay?
Yeah, for sure.
On Friday, October 28th, the day that they got there, after they did, the drinking, the passing out, the tacos, whatever, that was the night that energy started to shift, which makes sense because the next morning is when shit goes down. So now it's Saturday, October 29th. And here's what we know. Nazir, one of the other guys, he is arriving to Cabo around 2:15, okay? He calls the resort to confirm that he's going to the right place. And that is where we see our first sign of trouble. When he calls the resort, he's informed that Shanquella is quote unquote sick. And the group says that she has had too much to drink. So it's 2:15 p.m., right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how do you have too much to drink by 2:15? But sometimes, hey, when I'm in Mexico, I'll order cervezas desayunos, which is like breakfast beers. Does that translate?
You would say cervezas para el desayuno.
Oh, well, I've just been running around being like, cervezas desayunos, por favor, like the stupid little gringo that I am. So I'll do that, and I'll drink my Pacificos all morning, and I'll be buzzed by noon. And if they were drinking tequila, I could believe that she had drank too much by 2:15. But we are soon going to find out that that is probably not what happened. When Nazir arrives to the villa, he says he finds the entire group not in the pool, not lounging under umbrellas, not enjoying their luxury villa. He finds the entire group all together, kind of huddled in one bedroom. Then, where's Shanquella, right? Where's Shanquella? Then he goes into the bathroom and he finds Shanquella, and she's slumped over the toilet. Nazir went in, rubbed her head, like, you'll be okay, buddy, like, we all drink too much sometimes, like, we've all been there. And he played some soft music for her. So Nazir is a sweetheart. This is the first act of real friendship that we've seen in the group, okay? So Shanquella at some point somehow makes it from the toilet to the couch, but she's still not well. So this timeline is a little funny to me, but around 2:23, Winter calls the front desk of the resort and she requests a doctor. She tells them, my friend drank too much. Around this time, Khalil, Shanquella's best friend, makes a call to Shanquella's mother, Salamandra, back in the US. And he says, hey, Salamandra, Shanquella is throwing up because she drank too much. Don't worry, we've called the doctor. Okay, Emmy, if you and I were on vacation and you drank too much, I would never call your mother and worry her. Like, what can your mom do? I wouldn't be like, hey, Monica, like, Emmy's drunk and throwing up. Like, I wouldn't, I don't know. For me, this just kind of feels like planting a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think, like, you don't call someone parents unless you're like, hey, we're rushing to the hospital or we're at the hospital.
Yep.
Unless something big happens. This sounds like preventive action.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, right. They're putting a narrative together. So Salamandra's like, okay, like, it's evening time and in the US, and, she's putting her jammies on and she's like, I'm just going to stay awake and wait for another call. Khalil makes another call to Salamandra, letting her know that the doctor had arrived and that, like, the doctor is going to care for her. So the doctor arrives, and the doctor, her name is Dr. Gutierrez. And the doctor arrives, and the friends are like, yep, she's had too much to drink. And so the doctor checks her. And given kind of the background information of what her friends said, and given that they're an American group in Cabo, and I'm sure that this doctor is looking around and can see like bottles of alcohol everywhere, the doctor is like, okay, this is probably standard protocol. The doctor checks her vitals, and she says that her vitals were stable, but Shanquella was not responsive. She wasn't communicating. So for this doctor, I don't think this doctor was unskilled or something. I think this doctor is like, yeah, this all checks out. But she did say, hey, Shanquella is extremely dehydrated. I would like to take her to a hospital right now. But the friends refused. Later, they would claim that that was going to be too expensive. And Dr. Gutierrez is like, okay, fine. I'll set up an IV drip here in the villa. Okay? So Khalil calls Salamandra back and he's like, hey, the doctor's here. So she's like, okay, I'm just going to stay on the phone with you, Khalil. Like, let me know what's going on. And then the conversation on the phone takes a turn. Soon, Khalil has an update, a grim update. He is on the phone with Salamandra when he delivers the news that Shanquella is starting to have seizures. She's convulsing. The doctor orders the group to call an ambulance. Somebody call an ambulance. 3 ambulances arrive. Salamandra's on the phone while this is happening. And they start doing CPR. By 4:49, the doctor couldn't find a pulse on Shanquella. So they start doing CPR. And for the next 3 hours, here's what the doctor did with every attempt to save Shanquella's life. Gutierrez performed 14 sessions of CPR, 6 electric shocks, and 5 doses of adrenaline. Yet nothing can bring Shanquella back. At 5:57, Shanquella was pronounced dead. She had died of cardiac arrest. Shanquella Robinson, on her less than 24 hours into her Mexican vacation, has died from apparent cardiac arrest. Now, mija, if you and I went on vacation and I died, what would you do first? Would you maybe go out to dinner and get some tacos and a margarita?
If you were dead?
If I was dead, is that what you would do?
Dude.
Would you just go get some dinner?
Fuck no. I would be like
What
in
would you
total
do?
state of shock. I mean,
Yep. What else?
you wouldn't be
Yeah.
dead on my watch, for starters. It's like if you were drinking like crazy in Mexico, I would be giving you electrolytes like every 30 minutes.
Wait, tell our listeners the best electrolytes for drinking in Mexico.
Yeah, this is like Mexican rule number 1 if you're gonna go drinking in Mexico. When you're buying your booze, or like before you go out, go and buy a big stash of these drinks. You can get them at pharmacies and at Oxxos and at any supermarket. They're called electrolyte, basically electrolytes. They are very sugary, and honestly, when you're hungover, they literally, I don't know if this is like the right phrase, but they really bring you back from the dead.
Not the right choice of words, but you know what I keep remembering is when you and I went to that wedding in Guadalajara, the next morning, our hotel room was littered with like a dozen of those things. You and I, like we drank those like they were going to save our life.
They did.
Again, not the right choice of words. Anyways, so the normal thing to do if I was dead, right, is like first you would be in shock. You would be, I don't know, just trying to take care of the situation. That's not what this group did. This group didn't do the normal thing. That night, 4 hours later, after Shanquella was pronounced dead, the group was already sitting at their dinner reservation at a restaurant.
What?
Girl, like just wait, because like this is where the outrage begins, okay? Hold on to your horses. The group gathered their shit at lightning speed, packed up, checked out of the villa, leaving Shanquella's body in the villa.
No.
And then they went to dinner. They likely had big, strong margaritas on the rocks. And then they checked into a new hotel near the airport.
And they just left the body like it was like some forgotten belonging?
This case makes me emotional because when we talk about cases of best friends, and I, of course, think about you, and I just can't imagine it. Shanquella was a sweet girl. I mean, it's just going to get worse from here, but Shanquella is a sweet girl, a wonderful girl, beautiful girl. She was talented. She was nothing but kind and upbeat and a positive light in that house.
I cannot imagine this getting worse and me getting more outraged. Like, what's worse than leaving the body behind to go and have margaritas?
Oh, honey. So just to be clear, though, you don't believe that it was alcohol poisoning.
Maybe if the story was about a teenager, I would probably
Mm.
buy it. Like, okay,
But
it's a teenager's body. But a
Mhm.
25-year-old, how much alcohol would you have to drink in the span of
Mhm.
24 hours
Mhm.
to get dehydrated? Like,
And does alcohol poisoning ever lead to cardiac arrest? I don't even know. I don't know how it works.
I don't know if alcohol poisoning, but dehydration can, I think.
Okay.
But
Okay.
still, it feels too extreme for like 24-hour span. And like, if she was
It
like
does.
walking and taking videos and sitting
I
in a
know.
table eating, like, it doesn't seem like
No.
she was like that fucked up.
So here's what we know happened. The group checked into that. Can you hear my boyfriend sneezing
I heard something in
in
the
the
distance.
microphone? He's a screaming sneezer. Okay. So the group had checked into a new hotel near the airport. And at some point, they left Mexico before an investigation could begin. And to our listeners, I still do not have airline receipts. So if any true crime travelers can get their hands on them, you can always drop tips and clues on our website totally anonymously. So because I don't have these airline receipts, I don't know the timeline of which everyone flew. But what we do know is that this group got themselves the hell out of Mexico within a day or two, leaving Shanquella behind. So, upon landing in the US, apparently Khalil went straight to Salamandra's house and, to pay his respects. Over the next few weeks, Khalil would visit Salamandra's home quite a few times to reinforce the narrative that Shanquella died via alcohol poisoning, alcohol poisoning, alcohol poisoning. It's all he could talk about was alcohol poisoning. But Shanquilla's mom and sister weren't buying it. They both noted that Khalil just didn't seem right. And P.S., they know Khalil. Khalil was known to the family. He'd come over and visit the house, so they know him. They said that he didn't seem like himself. And it's understandable, to just be grieving, but this was different. They said that it seemed like something was eating him up inside, like he had a secret. And Shanquilla's sister said, she says, now knowing what we know now, she says, I can go back and say, that's why he was pacing. So at one point, Khalil brought Desjardins and Winter over to Salamandra's house to pay their respects as well. And instead of showing sincere grieving and loss, they were also there to push the narrative. Alcohol poisoning, alcohol poisoning, alcohol poisoning. But by the time that Khalil had brought Desjardins and Winter over, Shanquilla's mom and sister had been hearing about a fight. Rumors started swirling on the internet that there was a video on the internet and that Shanquella was involved in a fight. So Shanquilla's sister asked them point blank, was there a fight? Was Shanquella involved in a fight? Winter and Desjardins said, no.
Can I just say something?
Mm.
Like, it might sound like that I'm like judging too fast, but earlier when you showed me the photos of these girls, this Desjardins girl, like, my first impression was like, oh, that girl is trouble. Like that girl, just like looking at her, I would be like, I don't want to mess with that girl.
There's some girls that you can just see like they're calculating.
Mm-hmm.
She looks a little calculating. But as their suspicioned on October 2022, on October 30th, 2022, a partial autopsy report was conducted in Mexico. And then the body, on November 10th, the family had to pay $6,000 to have Shanquilla's body flown back to the U.S. When they received Shanquilla's body, I'll tell you about the autopsy in a second. When they received Shanquilla's body, they were shocked by what they saw. Shanquella had appeared to be beaten. She had a split lip, a bump on her head, swollen eyes. How is that? Alcohol. Right. So on November 17th, the family then got an autopsy done in the US, an autopsy that yielded very different results from the autopsy in Mexico. But first, let me tell you about the Mexican autopsy that came back, and here is what was reported. The Mexican autopsy said that the cause of death was not alcohol poisoning. The cause of death, according to the Mexican autopsy, was, in layman's terms, a severed spinal cord injury, and a broken neck.
No, what?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What?
And so, because of this broken neck, here's where things get really confusing, because we're going to see that the US autopsy report is different than the Mexican autopsy report. And we're going to see that the Mexican autopsy report is different than the Mexican police report. So I'm going to just take liberties. I cannot tell you how many hours and months and weeks I've done on this case. I'm just going to go ahead and give you like what I believe, what I've mishmashed together. So on the Mexican autopsy report, based off of the fact that they said this was done by a broken neck, her death was reported around 3 p.m. But the doctor said that they were administering CPR until 5 p.m. So is that a typo? Is it a miscommunication? Were they doing CPR on a woman that was already dead? And also, if her neck was broken, that CPR wasn't helping. So back to this. So the medical report says she died at 3 because they're like, if she has a broken neck, she was dead. But the police report said she died at 5:57 p.m. So the family and I believe that the police report was based off of the false accounts of the group, whereas the medical report is closer to the truth. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Or so we thought, because then it gets a little bit more confusing. Because the US autopsy report came back, and I don't get this at all. It showed no broken neck. But it also reported that she didn't have very high levels of alcohol in her system, which could just be because, I don't know how alcohol breaks down over a month. So the US autopsy actually came back with a quote unquote undetermined cause of death, which to me, take her to another coroner. Get a second, because we know that's not true, but I guess it's expensive. So the US autopsy report did, however, note that she had a bruise on her forehead, broken blood vessels in her eye, her arms, abdomen, and legs were covered in scratches, abrasions, and bruises, and there were traces of vomit in her throat, which could have been from the seizure or alcohol poisoning, depending on, whose story you choose to believe. The US autopsy report did also find a brain injury, but they said that brain injury could be caused by cardiac arrest. So we've got all these conflicting reports, okay? Oh, and by the way, once all these reports came out, the Cabo 6 fell into silence. They stopped visiting Salamandra. They stopped because they knew now, we might not be able to hide this. So on November 19th, 2022, Shanquella Robinson was laid to rest. And I wonder who did or didn't attend her funeral, because just before her funeral, just before November 19th, a video emerged online. A video that shows us the truth behind what really happened to Shanquella Robinson in Mexico. When people are involved in a crime, sometimes the police just sit back and wait for someone to crack. And someone did. That someone was Elise, one of the girls in the group. She leaked the video. She says because she was scared. And I think that, I don't know why. I mean, if that video wasn't leaked, we would still not know what happened to Shanquella. So this was like definitely a misstep on this person if they wanted to get away with a crime. But she leaked the video exposing the truth. The video that shows us what really happened to Shanquella. A video that no mother should ever have to see. This is what the video showed. So the video starts out in the morning. It's 7 a.m. in San Jose del Cabo, and the sun is just rising. Actually, from the angle of which this video is being taken, whoever is taking the video is in the corner of the room facing the glass doors. So it's a bed on the right, a chair, like an armchair on the left, and then you see the glass doors, and the view is stunning. It's palm trees, it's ocean, pink tropical flowers, and a hammock. This is like the picture of perfection. However, this is not a peaceful scene, because as the video starts out, there are two girls standing in front of the glass door in the center of the room, kind of right by the bed. And they're fighting. It is 7 a.m. and these girls are fighting. I mean, really quick, at 7 a.m., after a crazy night of drinking, Where would you be?
I would be absolutely passed out on the bed.
Absolutely. But these girls are not. These girls are not passed out. So why are they awake at 7 a.m. is like a big question we have.
Well, maybe they were still partying.
Maybe, but no, because one girl is in her jammies. Dejanay, it's Dejanay, by the way.
I knew it. I knew it.
Dejanay is in her silky jammies and even like her silky bonnet, which tells us that Dejanay went to sleep. The other girl in the
Or
video, or
or she just decided to continue partying in her jammies.
I just snorted. Honestly, I like the idea of a jammy party. I think we should do that one day.
Dude, I mean, pajama party, for sure.
Pajama party. Except the other girl in the video is not wearing her pajamas. The other girl in the video is Shanquella, and Shanquella is completely naked. And Emmy, she is completely naked while Dejanay is beating the hell out of her.
Whoa, that's not a party at all.
No, that's not a party at all. This video is very short. It only goes on for 20 seconds. But in that 20 seconds, here is what we see. We see Dejanay Jackson absolutely pummeling Shanquella while Shanquella is naked. She is using both fists to hit her in the head. And at one point, Shanquella falls on the bed. And whoever's behind the camera, it's a male voice, says, "Dang, Quilla, like at least fight back." Like he says, "Can't you at least fight back?" And she says, "No." And so she doesn't fight back in any of this video. She at some point falls on the floor. Then Dejanay starts using her feet to like kick her and her knee to like knee her in the back of the neck and just absolutely raging on her. All the while, Shanquella refuses to fight back. And in a really sad statement that her father would later make, he said, "My daughter is not a fighter, man. She's not a fighter." It's devastating.
This video is incredibly hard to watch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This girl, like this Dejanay girl, like she's going at her like with such anger.
She's going at her with such anger. So we're going to have to talk about this in a second. But the way that this video stops is that you can just see Shanquella kind of just waiting for it to end. And at some point, Dejanay notices Shanquella begin to weaken. And maybe the reality starts setting in for Dejanay. The reality that maybe she went too far. So Dejanay says, "Get up." But Shanquella can't. The video shows her slump over and then go limp. And then the video ends. This girl was jumped. No one is going to choose to participate in violence when they're naked. And this video only shows Shanquella being beaten by Dejanay, but I've heard rumors that at some point the other girls, which you cannot, so the only people in the room that we see in the video are Dejanay, Shanquella, the person behind the camera, and Emmy. This is a blurred video that I sent you. Like, people are blurring the violence because it's honestly so violent. But it almost looks to me, okay, so I've sent you the video. Can you go check this out? It almost looks to me like there's another person on the bed in the background. And I can't tell if there's another person in the bed. The bed looks like it's pretty made, to be honest, like almost like someone only slept on one half of it. I can't tell if someone's in the bed or if it's like luggage on the bed.
I would think luggage because you're right. The bed does look kind of made. Like only half of it was, like opened up to sleep in it.
Yeah. So whose room are we in is the question, right? And how did this fight begin? There's only 3 people in the room. It's just Dejanay, Shanquella, and Malik, who we now know is behind the camera. That's all we know so far.
Also, like, why wouldn't Malik intercede? Like, why stand there and record and watch and not, like, try to break up the fight?
Why record? I really don't understand why people record fights. It's almost like, hey, can you record? Can you just, like, get this evidence on camera of me assaulting someone? Thanks. So they can use it in court or something. Like, it's pretty stupid to be videotaping yourself beating someone. Like,
and like filming like a naked girl who's being basically ambushed.
I know. She's naked. Right. She's also naked. So yeah, you're right, Emmy. You're filming a girl being beaten up and naked.
It's fucked up.
That's cruel. That's super cruel. And then the other question I have is, if this video is being recorded, does that does that tell us it was planned? That maybe like they're like, all right, we're gonna go beat her up and record it? Or do you think that like Malik was in the room at the right time and so he just decided to like record it? Or maybe it was planned. Maybe they wanted to embarrass Shanquella, which goes to my theory that we need to get to in a second. But before we get to our theories and our motives, I want to tell you. So we know that Shanquella is dead. And the question is it the actions in this video which caused her death? And Mexico has ruled, yes, Mexico has ruled that this is a homicide. And actually, it's a femicide. And a femicide, Emmy, you and I talked about this. You didn't know, I mean, in the States, we don't use the word femicide. And femicide is killing someone because of their gender.
Basically, it's killing a woman because she's a woman.
Right. Killing a woman because she's a woman. So we don't have that law in the state, or we don't call it that in the States. And I like that this is a thing in Mexico, that they like recognize and agree that killing a woman just because she's a woman is a thing that's big enough to have a name.
But
anyways, so Mexican authorities are like, yep, Dejanay is guilty of homicide or femicide. So we want her back. So Mexico issued a warrant for the return of Dejanay Jackson to Mexico. But the U.S. won't send her. Want to know why?
Why?
The U.S. authorities have said, hold on, Emmy, because this is going to make you mad. The U.S. authorities have said that there were no signs of foul play.
Come on. You have this video. Come on. Come on.
I know. So they won't be seeking charges. So the U.S. will not be seeking charges. So
How can you rule no foul play when you have an actual video of this girl beating Shanquella up? Like, you can see the rage. You can see the rage in the video.
Dejanay's really pissed. But honestly, it doesn't look like, I mean, I can't say like, oh, something happened so badly that she was justified, because no one is justified to hit someone that bad. So to this day, the Cabo Six, including Dejanay, they just walk the streets roaming free, sleeping in their own beds, watching Netflix. No justice served.
That is really, really unfair. I cannot believe they ruled no foul play. It's
me either.
I'm shooketh.
I am shooketh as well. But you know what? Shanquella's community is not having this. I have seen, and I am not recommending that anyone does this. I'm not applauding this, but I have seen videos online that these people in the Cabo Six, they have not had an easy time like going out to clubs or bars. I actually saw a video online of, I think it's Winter and Dejanay, and they are then getting beat up in the streets and people are recording it. So it's like this karma's coming back for them. I still don't think violence is the answer. Like, do not wake up and choose violence today. But you know, they're not going to be able to just live their life like this never happened.
I imagine like Shanquella's community is not happy about this.
They're not happy. No, they're not happy. So now, Emmy, we have got to break down the reason why. So why did this go down? Why didn't people take care of her? Why did this happen? I want to know everything. Want to travel with us? Every summer, Emilia and I take small groups of women away from the daily stressors of life in what we call river therapy. Imagine whitewater rafting in the most stunning locations across the USA, completely off the grid for up to 5 days, designed specifically for women who need a soul reset. Bring your stresses, anxieties, and fears. Bring your dreams, wishes, and goals. And join us for river therapy. Go to alexa-west.com and click on Glow Up Travel to join our next trip. So, Emmy, it is that time that we get to use our very special skills and we get to play detective.
Yay, my favorite part. Okay, so you've been deep in research in this case, and I cannot wait to hear your theory about what really happened.
I honestly have a very clear theory that I think explains all of this. And that theory is jealousy. And I know you might be thinking, like, oh, like jealousy, that's such high school stuff. But no, jealousy is one of the deadliest emotions out there. Think about it. It involves ego, self esteem, greed, and anger. Shanquella was beautiful, successful, and happy. And yeah, this girl, like, she had like the best clothes, the cutest makeup. She had a good relationship with her family, and she had a lot of money. And I think maybe these girls had extreme jealousy. Like, who does she think she is? Emmy, like when you shine too bright, sometimes people want to just completely dull your shine.
Mm-hmm.
So I think these girls resented her. And I think they wanted her money, her charisma, her life. They wanted to be her. And they felt so inferior. And then they added alcohol into the mix. You add jealousy, low self esteem, and alcohol, and boom, you've got trouble. And did they mean to kill her? I don't think so. But I think their jealousy and their anger took them to a level they didn't intend to be taken to.
I hear you, and I think jealousy is like a good theory, but do you think they would beat the hell out of her naked just because of some frenemy shit? I think there's gotta be more.
Like what? More like what?
Okay, hear me out. What if, what if there was some sexual shit going down? I mean, you have three girls and three guys in a beautiful villa in Mexico. You know, they're getting drunk, they're eating tacos, they're
Mhm.
taking shots, they're skinny dipping. You've basically got a Temptation Island episode, you know? Like, what if Shanquilla was involved with one of the guys and Dejanay was just not having it?
um, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about how did I not think about who's having sex with who?
Honestly, I am surprised because you're a
Huh?
matchmaker. Like,
I
you
am a
are always like
matchmaker.
love oriented.
I am love oriented, but I just didn't even think about it. Right, there's three girls, three guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Khalil and Shanquilla are just supposed to be best friends. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe that's just like what they say they are. But wait, so let's just like play checkers really quick. Okay, Malik is the one recording the video. Okay, so it's not
Mm-hmm.
Malik. It's not Malik. And maybe Khalil's her best friend. And I don't think Dejanay would care if
Mm-mm.
Shanquilla is sleeping with her best friend. The last party is Nazir, and Nazir's the sweet one. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe, yeah, maybe Nazir and Shanquilla.
Maybe, like, you did say at some point, like, he was the only one that was kind of like sweet to her, like took care of
Yeah.
her, like played soft music for
Mm.
her. Maybe, yeah, maybe like there was something blossoming there, and Dejanay was just like, no, like they're my friends, like you're the outsider. I don't
Mm.
know.
Okay, wait. So maybe Dejanay caught her with one of the guys, and she just completely lost it. I mean, that makes sense, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense. People kill people for sleeping with their person all the time.
Yeah, and like you said, add alcohol into the mix, and alcohol dials everything up.
Absolutely.
Oh, and dude, we were just talking about how Shanquilla was naked in that last video. She was naked. Why
Mm.
was she naked?
Ooh,
I
was
don't
she?
think it was just because they were skinny dipping.
Ooh, so maybe, okay, wait. If we're going to go with this theory that is absolutely based in nothing but me and Emmy's gossip and reality TV mind, that that Shanquilla was maybe with someone, that's why she was naked. That's why Dejanay got angry because she found her naked in the bed with someone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Honestly, this theory is going to live in my head forever.
Yeah, mine too. Jealousy is deadly, as you said. Add that extra spice to the mix of romance and sexual tension or a love triangle there, and that's just jealousy off the rails.
Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
Honestly, I like this makes so much more sense to me. Again, this is just me and Emmy's gossip. This is what we do. This is where we bring our girl brain and our travel brain into the mix. Here's the question though. The bed in the video was still half made. The bed in the video looks like only one person slept in it. So another question is, whose room were they in? Were they in Shanquella's room? And Dejanay found her with someone in the bed? Or were they in Dejanay's room? And in that case, how did naked Shanquella get into Dejanay's room? And why was Malik in the corner videotaping? I still don't understand how we got to that boiling point. Do you know what I mean?
In Mexico, we say caras vemos, corazones no sabemos, which means like faces we see, but hearts we don't know. So who knows?
Hmm. Gosh, I love when you have a Mexican phrase.
Oh, you know, I have a Mexican phrase for everything.
For everything. I know. You really do. Like, really, for our listeners, when Emmy and I are out in the world just doing life and we run into like any kind of situation, she'll just turn to me and she'll say, "We have a saying in Spanish." And it's just so fun. And she'll say it in Spanish and then she'll explain it. And it's just so fun. So, anyways, I have another theory. And the other theory isn't about the motive, but it's more about what happened. So, remember how Nazir came into the villa kind of after the fact?
Right?
I believe that they set Nazir up. I believe that Shanquella was already like really suffering. She had just been beaten. And I believe that they dragged her body to the toilet, slumped it over the toilet to make it look like she was drunk so that they could get a testimony from Nazir. So Nazir could say like, yeah, when I came in, like she was puking. Maybe he didn't see any puke, right? But he just assumed, she's in the toilet. I believe that, that they wanted Nazir to be like, yeah, no, she was alive and she just was really drunk, right? Are these people callous enough to do that? To drag her body to the toilet to stage something? Yes, I do believe they are, because they also called and were like, yeah, she drank too much alcohol.
Do you see any scenario or possibility where this whole thing was an accident?
That Shanquilla's death was an accident?
Yeah.
I believe that the beating that we saw in the video is what killed her. And I think that killing was an accident. I wouldn't have said this is like premeditated murder, but I would say that because the video was being taken and that she was naked, so she obviously wasn't expecting a fight. I think that the fight was premeditated. The murder was not. I think they went too far. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Like for a moment, I thought that maybe because they were going to Cabo and, like Americans go very much into what happens in Cabo stays in Cabo mode. Maybe they were
we
like
do.
going to Cabo planning to do something to her. But no, you're right. And after seeing all the videos, and especially this last video, I think they just like didn't measure the whole thing. Like they took it too far.
Absolutely. And I feel like, we cover so many cases. We know that humans are strong and it can only take one punch. And Shanquella received dozens of blows, not just like punches, like blows to the head.
Yeah. So
So
conclusion, don't choose violence ever.
don't choose violence, use your words. Okay, so what is happening now? Life for Shanquilla's family will never be the same. They will always have an empty seat at their dinner table. And Shanquilla's family, they did launch a GoFundMe, which raised nearly $500,000, and not surprised because Shanquella was loved. They've since turned off the GoFundMe. I haven't checked in with Shanquilla's family, but I think that would be a lovely thing to do on a follow-up. I'd love to see how we could help further. And yeah, I mean, anything pertinent that we find out, Emmy and we will begin in the future doing follow-ups to these cases. Once we get more tips and more evidence, we will be doing more follow-up to these cases. Emmy, may I do the honors of presenting the travel lesson of
Please
this episode?
do the honors.
Okay. So I always say that traveling will make or break a friendship.
Oh, that is so true.
It is so true. You never really know who you're going traveling with until you travel with them. Let's say you're going to go on a trip to Greece and you want to have someone to go with you, and your coworker is like, oh, I'll go with you. The thing is, your coworker at work and your coworker at happy hour, but just wait until you get your coworker out of their routine in a new environment, add alcohol, add anxiety, and you might start looking at that person like, who the hell did I invite on my trip? So please read chapter 4 of my new book, The One Way Ticket Plan. And I give you an entire breakdown on how to choose your travel partners wisely and also how to prepare to soften conflicts and arguments when you're traveling with your travel companions. Because it is the case at home and it is the case abroad that you are most likely going to be hurt or murdered by someone that you know. It's a really grim thing. But I mean, like if someone kills Emmy, it's either going to be me or her boyfriend. So just putting that out there.
We're both, weirdly enough, very interested in murder stories. So
I love that. That's why you like us both. Yep. Okay. Emmy, where do you want to go next week on True Crime Travelers?
Good question.
You tell me and I'll go find a murder for you.
I want to go. Let's go to Latin America. We haven't done a case in Latin. I mean, we've done Mexico, but nothing in South America.
I think I have a story in Colombia for you.
Okay, great.
Okay. I will see
That
you.
sounds interesting.
I will see you next week in Colombia.
See you in Colombia.
Bye, mija.
Bye.
This podcast deals with real crimes, but all parties mentioned are innocent until proven guilty, and all opinions expressed are solely those of myself and Emilia. We do our best to research and provide accurate and up-to-date information, but keep in mind that some details may change over time, so we encourage listeners to conduct their own research and verify the information presented in this podcast. Thanks for listening and safe travels.